Эфир телеканала CBC продолжает специальный выпуск общественно-политической передачи «Глобальная дискуссия». Меня зовут Анастасия Лаврина. Здравствуйте. Сегодня у нас специальный гость, министр иностранных дел и торговли Венгрии Петр Сиатру. Hello and welcome to our program.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to have you here in Baku once again and have this opportunity to talk with you. So these times the 25th anniversary of SPECA is taking place in Baku in Azerbaijan, and we know that Azerbaijan proposed to involve SPECA countries in international, regional and transport corridors. How do you assess the role of Azerbaijan in all of these processes?
Look, I was very happy to be present on Monday in New York in the UN General Assembly when the resolution has been passed to praise the foundation and the revitalization of the SPECA initiative. We Hungarians are pretty much interested in the East-to-West cooperation, given the fact that we have very bad memories about those times when the world has been divided into blocks, and we would like to see East and West cooperating with each other in a civilized manner. And we all know that in order to build this kind of cooperation, we need to build bridges. And when it comes to Central Asia, it's definitely a bridge between East and West. And the fact that Azerbaijan plays such a very important role when it comes to the East-to-West cooperation is not a surprise for us. We have been building a strategic relationship with Azerbaijan for the last 13 years. We have seen the very rapid development in this region. We have seen the role of Azerbaijan increasing when it comes to the safe supply of energy of the European continent, of the region. We see how Azerbaijan has restored its territorial integrity. So obviously Azerbaijan is a leading force, a flagship country in the region, and the fact that the revitalization of the SPECA initiative started during the presidency fulfilled by Azerbaijan, it is obvious that this leading role is now being very visible.
You mean the middle corridor also? You rightly mentioned the restoration of territorial integrity of Azerbaijan. Hungary has always supported the territorial integrity of the country. And now Azerbaijan is saying that more time and more attention should be paid to the development of the middle corridor, possibility maybe in the future of opening of Zangezur corridor. And Hungary, as a member of the Organization of Turkic States, can play a really significant role in all of these processes. How do you think?
Well, we are interested in building and strengthening as many corridors as it is just possible, because these corridors are helping not only the people-to-people exchange, but the trade and economic cooperation as well. If we think about East-to-West, Europe-Asia cooperation now, given the situation in Ukraine and given the European sanctions, the physical route comes through Central Asia, comes through the Caucasian region, comes through the Caspian region. So all kinds of corridors built by the countries in the region must be very useful. We have been part of such an initiative, which is called the Middle Green Corridor. The Middle Green Corridor consists of Azerbaijan, Georgia, Romania and Hungary. The goal of this initiative is to import the green energy from Azerbaijan and Georgia to Europe, Central Europe, through Romania and Hungary. We all know that there's a huge untapped and unused potential when it comes to green energy, especially offshore and onshore wind, when it comes to both Azerbaijan and Georgia. And once those investments take place, which will make it possible to take advantage of this untapped green energy potential, we will have a huge chance to import it to Central Europe. Therefore, we need infrastructure, we need grids, we need delivery infrastructure. So we Hungarians are very happy to take part there, and we hope that the investments here in Azerbaijan will take place very quickly in order to rapidly increase the potential of offshore and onshore wind, and then the green electricity, which will come from that way of generating energy, will be welcomed in Central Europe.
Exactly, green energy is another direction which is being paid much attention on the side of Azerbaijan too. So, will be nice to know your opinion about the post-conflict development in the region of the South Caucasus.
Look, we Hungarians are a pro-peace nation. So whenever there's a armed conflict, whenever there's a war, like the current one in Ukraine, which is our direct neighborhood, we are interested in helping peace to be created. Now, how you can create peace? Obviously through dialogue and discussion and talking to each other. So therefore, we usually urge parties of conflicts to enter into peace talks as soon, as rapidly as it is just possible. So we do hope that the ongoing negotiations between Azerbaijan and Armenia will lead to success, will lead to reconciliation, will lead to a situation where both the Azeri and the Armenian nation can find its benefits, and an agreement which can serve as a basis for long-term peace of people living here in the region. We Hungarians understand very well that the reconstruction period of Karabakh will take a long time. We understood that there were more than 700,000 Azeris who had to escape from the Karabakh region. We are happy to see that many of them will be able to return now, and we Hungarians are honored to be able to contribute to that. We are just about to complete the groundbreaking ceremony in the township called Szoltanli, where the Hungarian companies will carry out the reconstruction. The relevant contracts have already been signed. So 4,850 inhabitants will be able to return to Szoltanli once the Hungarian construction companies finalize their activities there. They are going to build the houses and the public buildings as well. So we are honored to take part in this process, and we hope that the most possible Azeris, those who had to escape, or the families of those who had to escape, can return to places where they had been living.
You already answered my next question about the contribution of Hungary to the restoration process of Azerbaijan. You rightly mentioned it's quite complicated and difficult part, but still it's a big hope for the people to go back there.
Yeah, we can imagine. We can imagine. Unfortunately, our history had been full of fights for freedom as well. Our history had been full of occasions when many Hungarians had to escape or escaped from Hungary. So we know what it means. So therefore, we were absolutely ready to take part in the reconstruction. And on top of what we had been contracted, we have officially donated construction of a school in that settlement. So it's going to be a center for education from kindergarten through elementary up to secondary education. More than 600 students will be enrolled in that school simultaneously. We are building a sports facility next to it, green area. So we hope that that this contribution will be able to help the local community to get back a bit their life, which has been unfortunately taken away a couple of decades ago.
Azerbaijan is known as a multinational, multicultural country, and today we see that the countries like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan and Hungary trying to support the government to restore the Karabakh, and in the future it will also make Karabakh multinational and multicultural. That's my understanding of the situation.
Well, we Hungarians are sensitive on that, given the fact that after the Second World War, as 2/3 of the territories of Hungary has been detached, finally detached, we have lost millions of Hungarians. So, you know, I mean, millions of Hungarians found themselves living on territories of another country. So there's a big Hungarian community in Ukraine, in Romania, in Serbia, in Slovakia, Croatia, Slovenia. So we know how it feels. Therefore, we are sensitive on respect towards the rights of national minorities. Right. But you know, I've been dealing with Azeri leadership for 13 years now. I've worked together with 2 foreign ministers, And I'm pretty sure that the minority rights will be respected, because I think I can say that I know how the Azero leadership thinks about such kind of issues.
Right. There is no common position inside the European Union towards the situation in the South Caucasus, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Brussels, Washington, and Moscow served as a platform for the negotiations. How do you think this situation inside the European Union, I mean, not single approach to the situation, affect the negotiation process?
Look, we in the European Union do not have a 100% common foreign policy. This is up to sovereign decisions of the member states. And we all know that on many occasions there are very hypocritical positions. We all know that lobby force matters. So what I can tell you is that we and the other countries who are looking at this issue from a very rational perspective, we have a very clear position in this regard, and we will not let European Union interfere here in this region in a way that it would hurt the fragile situation. So sometimes European Union has so useless positions and so dangerous positions on some external issues which should be avoided. Just to give an idea regarding migration. The policy of Brussels is actually encouraging a lot of people to hit the road, to put their life at risk, to pay thousands of dollars to smugglers, to crime gangs. And then they put their life at risk on the sea or on the land route, and then they try to violate the border, try to commit crime. So the European Union sometimes has positions which are definitely on the wrong side of history.
Right. And as we already touched this topic, how do you think the position of Hungary, because inside the European Union with all of those projects and problems which we already discussed and mentioned, sometimes it's quite difficult to keep the balanced position. Hungary is being criticized in some issues, in some terms of its energy policy, cooperation with Russian energy issues. How Hungary is keeping its balance inside the European Union?
We have a government in Hungary which has been in position for 13 years. This is very rare in Europe. We have a government which has a 2/3 of the seats in the parliament, so very stable, very unique in Europe. And we are a government which is not based on coalition, so we can avoid stupid debates. And this is very unique in Europe as well. So this very stable political system does not allow any attempt to influence and to interfere to be successful. Because the problem is that in many countries of Europe, the political systems are so fragile or unstable or so, based on small margins or minority governments or very colorful coalitions, that it's easy to interfere, easy to influence, easy to put pressure. Now, on us, it's impossible.
And some countries maybe don't like it.
Yeah, and they hate it. So actually, and especially institutions in Brussels hate it. They do hate it, that they cannot interfere, they cannot lecture us, they cannot tell us what to do, they cannot educate us, because we have a very solid, stable, forward-looking national policy. And when I say national, I mean sovereign national policy. And we are not ready to look at any issues through the angles of others. We are only looking at issues through our glasses, let's put it this way, and not the glasses of others. And the fact that we are on top of it, it is a successful government. Now this is a combination which is impossible to be digested by Brussels. And when I say Brussels, now I say that the liberal mainstream. So therefore, we are usually under attack. We are usually under attack because we represent sovereign national interest instead of, being aligned with the liberal mainstream, trading our own interests. So this means that we will have such kind of debates in the future as well, and we will be attacked in the future as well. Why we are also able to resist is that economically we are successful, because we are breaking the FDI records every year, since we are operating a very competitive economy. For economic decision makers, for shareholders, for CEOs, stability is important. So they come, they meet faces from the government, and they know that next time they come, they see the same faces, you know? So we are transparent, we are reliable, you know, we can be held responsible because we make a promise next time we meet. The question is, so did you deliver? Like in other cases, you know, you meet someone and the next time you meet, I mean, I've been in my position for more than 9 years, and I worked together like 100, 130 foreign ministers in the European Union, you know. So the fluctuation because of the instability is high. But in our case, it's reliable. You have the same faces, you have the same counterparts. So therefore, we will be under attack always. And the only way to move forward, to survive, is to stick to national interest. And therefore, we are running national consultations in Hungary, where all Hungarians can express their views in certain very important issues. So when we fight in Brussels, then we fight on behalf of the people, based on the will of the people. And it's very complicated to be challenged. Of course, they try it, but I mean, at the end of the day, they are not having a debate with us, but they are questioning the will of the Hungarian people, which is a totally different position.
I can say that some countries don't like Hungary for this strict position and national interest priorities.
Sure.
They don't like Azerbaijan, they don't like Turkey for the same way.
And then you can have a relatively long list in this regard.
Right, a little bit more about the situation between Russia and Ukraine. Just recently, Prime Minister Viktor Orban said that the negotiations on Ukrainian membership in the European Union should not move forward with the war-torn country in no way ready to join the bloc. What expectations does Hungary have from the European Union in relation with Russia?
Look, this is a huge problem. If I can open up the scope a bit, the European economy had a very comfortable basis for growth in the recent decades. And that stable background or comfortable background was based on a combination of the highly developed Western technologies and the easily accessible, relatively cheap Russian energy sources. Now, when these two have been combined, European economy became more competitive, became bigger, and was growing. Now, since the war has broken out in Ukraine, these ties of cooperation have been cut one by one, but they have not been replaced by anything. So the European economy is in a trouble from this perspective. And on top of that, the European politicians, most of them, are kind of suffering from a war psyche, you know? They are so emotionally deeply into this war. They are delivering weapons. They are spending a lot of money in and on Ukraine. You know, they still believe, or at least they say, that there's a solution on the battleground. They still think that the battleground developments can improve the situation of Ukraine when it comes to a future peace deal, while the reality on ground does not show that. The reality on ground shows that there's no solution on the battleground. On the battlefield, there are only dead people on the battlefield, and the conditions for peace will just get worse and worse day by day. So, the problem is that the Europeans have basically cut all the channels of communication with the Russians. We are the only ones who keep the channels open. And I do believe that the channels must be kept open, because if you look back to history, all wars have been completed or ended, finished by negotiations. So the question is, how are we gonna negotiate, or how negotiations will take place if the channels of communication are cut? So therefore, we keep the channels of communication open. We always made efforts to be in a constructive relationship with the Russians. And we still continue to do so. Why? Because we need to cooperate with them, for example, on energy. If we do not cooperate with them on energy, then our energy supply is simply physically not possible.
We come to the national interest again.
And you come back to national interest again. So we do hope that, that somehow the global majority which wants peace can be louder and louder, and at the end of the day, even louder than the transatlantic community, which is now unfortunately very heavily representing a kind of pro-war position.
Right. We see a lot of geopolitical changes in the world, and I should ask a question about organization of Turkic states once again. Hungary, Azerbaijan cooperations, the growing importance of this organization, any changes we observe?
Look, organization of Turkic states is becoming more and more valuable, given the fact that the significance of this region has been increasing a lot. So the recent geopolitical and global economic developments showed very clearly that this region is having a bigger and bigger significance. Since there are here alternative sources of energy, here there are countries, economies which are booming, and geographically speaking, this is now a very important transit route. And since these countries are able and willing and ready to cooperate in a common sense basis, therefore the countries will be able to take advantage of this new situation, because it's not enough to understand that there's a new situation, you have to take advantage of it. And as far as I see, the countries in this region can do so. So that's why I think it was a very important decision that the Turkic Investment Fund has been recently established, and Hungary is about to make the decision to join.
Just to conclude our discussion for today, how important is mutual support between Azerbaijan and Hungary in the rapidly changing geopolitical?
Oh, it's extremely important, because you need reliable partners, you need friends, you need allies, and the friendship between our leaders, the friendship between the political leaderships give a comfortable trust on both sides. So we all know that whenever there's any issue, we can rely on each other. We know that the other will support us. So whenever there's any kind of endeavor, candidature, effort, initiative, plan, whatever of Azerbaijan on international political arena, we Hungarians are usually the first to subscribe to, and vice versa. This is true as well. So, you know, under these conditions, when there are so turbulent times, politically and economically speaking as well, the stable partnerships have an invaluable significance. And we know it very well, and we act accordingly.
Right, Mr. Minister, thank you. Thank you so much for joining the program today.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Напоминаю нашим телезрителям, в эфире телеканала CBC был специальный выпуск общественно-политической передачи «Глобальная дискуссия». Меня зовут Анастасия Лаврина. Оставайтесь с нами и до скорых встреч.